You've probably spent a few hundreds of cold emails, LinkedIn DMs this month. Depends on your ICP, head of marketing, maybe sales directors, maybe a few startup founders. And you realize most of them did not reply. Few of them maybe said, not now, and that was the end of it. You tweaked it, you enhanced it, you went to the subject line, maybe it was wrong, you rewrote your first line to make it better, and still the same result. Well, here's the news. The problem is not really the offering or your messaging. The problem is something way beyond your control. So some founders might even send the same message to the same people, but at a different time, and they will get a lot of responses. So the only thing that you would notice, it's a matter of if you are sending to them at the right timing that matches their priorities. And what usually happens is we get stuck into this limbo of, okay, maybe I need to enhance my ideal customer persona. Maybe I need to go check the ideal profile or the buyer persona, the job titles, the company size. Maybe I need to tweak this bullet points graph where I need to make sure what their interest is. And then I go back to my team and discuss it with them, or I do the reach out myself. And then you realize, and it confirms that it's a matter of timing, not at all your ICP. Your ICP is perfect. Probably you did your best job in it and it's fine. And I learned this slow, expensive way. I even went for 20 demos. Some of them even, I was so much persuasive that I got them to jump on a demo, but there was no movement beyond that. There was no proposals. Nobody bought anything. And I started to watch for signs that a team was already under pressure, a team of the ICP I'm targeting. Whether it's a funding round, a new hire in a queue, or a bad public quarter they had. So I stopped guessing when I just focused on signals. The conversations, the messages, all got better replies. And I started to see faster demo to proposal ratio, faster proposal to deal closure ratio. So instead of another static document, we built a trigger map. What is that? It's a simple way to spot buyers the moment they start looking for help. Let me walk you through it, how it works in real life and what is the practicality of it. Here's what I plan to cover. First, how to find the signals, the events that creates urgency. Identify the champion, the person who feels it the most. And the third one is craft why now message that earns a quick reply. So by the end of this video, you will have one map you can test this week with a faster path to your next deal. So let's start with step one, find the signal. So again, you probably have already a list in place, 200 plus companies that you plan to target, maybe 1,000, and you have even the positions, the industry, the size, the location, and you have a very beautiful piece of document. Now, the problem with these filters, as I mentioned, it doesn't show who's under pressure, what's happening with this company. So you end up probably burning weeks and you will get few meetings, maybe very little responses, but there's nothing beyond that. The real signal isn't who they are or what the company is. It's a matter of what's happening right now in this company, what's brewing. No company wakes up and decides to buy a new software. Something triggers it, a change, a deadline, or something that quarter missed quota, something happened. That trigger creates pressure, and the pressure opens budget. No pain, no budget. Here's how to find those moments fast. Now, this is exactly a step-by-step how to do. First of all, you need to look into the people moving. So for example, you go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator, check the job changes. So let's say you already been eyeing this company's VP. Now you will see that VP move to another company, and 100% this guy is the warmest lead because he's looking to do some new changes, or she's looking to do some new impact, and she's willing to spend on it, and she has a green light to spend on it. The second one is the money news. Okay, so for example, public listed company had a bad quarterly report and they mention it, or they mention the churn rate is high. It's perfect to sell to them retention tools. That will be the best timing. Or they have a funding route. The cash has to show growth. Imagine a VC funds an investor funds a company. Obviously, a VC mindset is always about fast growth, and he's pressuring the founder, and the founder is pressuring the sales team, obviously, to generate pipeline, to generate sales. Your sales tool will come into place where you can position that to them. And the third point is market shocks. A new regulation that is passed in their industry, or a major competitor just went out of business and leaving the customers stranded, and obviously they're looking for new business. Or sometimes like big companies like Google, Microsoft, which happens almost all the time, changes something major in their platform and kills all the integrations with every single software that everybody's relying on. Events like these create pain overnight and budget overnight. Last quarter, I spotted a deal the day a local SaaS firm announced a new head of sales on LinkedIn. Obviously, that head of sales had a budget, and we had a very good conversation, ended up reaching proposal stage literally less than 1 week because of that specific signal. That's what a live signal should look like in your day-to-day activation. But also a good signal is useless if you pitch to the wrong person. So the next point is, let's find who inside that company actually feels the heat. That brings me to step 2. Pinpoint the internal champion. You've got a live signal. We all agree. Fantastic. Say it's a mid-sized SaaS company. They just raised Series B. Most founders first move, obviously, email the CEO or send a note to a generic email like info@wherever it is. Okay. First of all, the CEO isn't thinking about your tool. They don't care. They are thinking about the next board call and what they plan to show. The signals already tells you where to look. You just need to link that event to who now carries the pressure of that event. So example, a signal that is a company got 50 million funding round, okay? Expectation, they need to show fast growth. So who's gonna handle that pressure? The goal, sales pipeline must double. Who's gonna be handling that? VP of sales, okay? Or anybody head of sales, sales director. Infrastructure must hold up. That's head of engineering or CDO. Hiring must scale, or you need to start to do aggressive hiring in the next couple of months. Head of people or head of HR or HR director. That's how you narrow it. You cannot just simply go to a CEO or a director of the company and discuss it. So you're not guessing by title. You are tracking who feels the direct hit from that event. And if someone just stepped into that role, is even better. They are stressed like no tomorrow, and they have crazy stuff happening, and they have crazy budget they need to throw it at to get results, to show that they are worthy of that new position. That's basically what you need to think about. And especially the new hires, especially VPs, they want to show a quick win. They haven't picked their favorite tools yet. So now you have two parts, the signal and the person. The next step is putting them together in a message that actually earns a reply. That brings me to point 3. Why use and why now message? So most outreach fails because it sounds like a pitch. You know the type. The first lines I'll start with, we help companies like yours, and the reader can already sense what's coming next. No, thank you. Nuh-uh. So once they feel that, they stop reading whatever you're gonna say next. This sentence alone is a deal breaker. The aim isn't to sound persuasive. It's to sound relevant to their current environment. Your note should read as if you notice something useful, not as if you are trying to sell. So within 10 seconds, the person should recognize themselves in it, or the VP or the whoever you're talking to. If they don't, the message is just simply ignoring. So again, do not use templates. You need to always rely on what is a signal and who am I talking to. So focus on one simple change. Make an observation instead of an introduction. Do not introduce yourself yet. Not important, not relevant. Observation. So let me give you an example. The company, for example, completed Series B, and you're writing to Jane, their new vice president of sales. The version that most of us have written before, something like subject line, improve your sales process. And then you can start with, Dear Jane, I'm the founder of, let's say your company is Sales Rocket. I don't know if this is a real company, a platform that helps sales team increase revenue through automation. Would you be open to a short call next week? Yeah, it's polite, it's nice. I would say it reads like every other message in their inbox. Nothing in it relates to what is happening in their world. Now, compare that version to a version that receives a reply. Subject line, congrats on Series B. Hey Jane or Dear Jane, congrats on the recent funding. After a round like this, most sales leaders are expected to show a larger pipeline within the quarter. I prepared a short table on how other growth stage teams are managing this without adding headcount. Would you like me to send it over? This version stays focused on her situation, not your product. This subject line is timely, the tone is correct, and offers help her rather than taking her time. That's what relevant sounds like in practice. It shows you understand her role and gives her a reason to respond. Now, this simple approach, find the signal, identify the person, send a relevant note, is the real go-to-market engine. Now, all the buzz about the tools, what tools you should use, AI, blah, 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 that's beautiful. These are just helpful tools to facilitate whatever I just said. That's it in a nutshell. Now, it sounds simple. It's expensive to implement with, of course, all the right tools that is getting these signals and scraping these signals. And obviously, it replaces static profiles with live conversations. Once someone replies with "tell me more," that's the next challenge. What are you going to do? What should I write? What should I say? So explaining clearly what you do and why it matters can be in a video format. It can be in a screenshot. That's the best way to get their attention. If I asked you to explain your main product value in one sentence, could you do it? I mean, the real help it gives, not just what your competition say, but if you could not nail this one thing, you are basically throwing money at the other guys. So the whole idea here is to stop wasting cash and fix this as your main focus. Because if you ignored it, you will burn through your budget just trying to get people to notice you. And we already know how marketing is costly. Your customers will pick the other guy immediately if they are easier to understand. Believe me, it's as simple as that. But if you continue this video, you will have that one simple sentence that makes your brand the only clear choice. And honestly, these tips did help me in my early stage startup to quickly fast track to the first 10 grand to recurring revenue every single month. So it does work. Here's exactly what we plan to fix in this video. The first thing you will be noticing the difference between your big startup story and what your product actually does. And you need both. The second one is know your tools. You'll see the difference between your product's benefits and the one thing you do best, and your main brand idea plus when to use each one. The last point, you will be able to build your own plan, as we will use a super easy 3-step chart to build your own unique spot in the markets within less than 24 hours. So let's start. The first point is find your own difference or how to position yourself. Brand positioning is the whole game. That was done wrong. It's how your brand tells people, I am different, and this is exactly why you should buy from me, not the other guys. That's the one thing. Look, you're not coming into an empty market, right? Competitors are already here. They are already having the attention. They already have the sales pipeline matured. So you have nothing yet. So if you come in and offer the exact same thing like big players, you will lose and waste your time, resources, and eventually run out of money. The real fight is not about your product, right? You need to own a spot in their brain. You must know what are their fears, what do they desperately want, and then you define the difference you will own. What is your one thing? Are you faster? Are you cheaper? More convenient? You must pick one lane. You cannot pick all. If you are the same, your brand makes zero noise and you have zero value. You're basically invisible. Even if we run for you the best marketing campaigns, if we are running crazy good Facebook ads, it doesn't really matter. If your brand voice does not have clarity, everything's falling apart. And I want to reference a startup called Neat. So they entered the bank market in Hong Kong. And you already know, bank market in Hong Kong is huge, but it has old banks that are slow. So small businesses hated them to their guts. It was a real story. Endless paperwork, long waiting times. I personally even hated them when I went to Hong Kong. It was really painful, believe it or not. So Neat saw the pain. They said, okay, all banks are slow. We will be simple and digital. Their positioning was crystal clear, I would say. We are a modern bank for the busy entrepreneur. Voila, that's it. They focus on the difference. They marketed by removing the paperwork and long waiting times. Honestly, that's it. I mean, if you did this for me as a busy entrepreneur, you got my heart, you got my everything. They got my money as well, of course. They focus on the user experience. They didn't try to be big or slow bank. They created a new, simple category in the audience mind. Of course, the results, they stood out. I mean, they needed a push from the marketing side, but come on, the positioning itself is amazing. It's brilliant. Their message was clear: banking efficiency and fast track to everything banking. That's what really mattered. But here's the problem. You might know what makes you different, but can you explain it in an easy way? What does the real benefit to customers look like? Let's look at one startup in Indonesia that got it right. So this is what I call, like, I know my perfect positioning, but how do you simplify your messaging to establish your message market fit? So taking this example in Indonesia, it was a one tunai startup. They target small micro retailers and those, I don't know, little corner stores that always need cash to buy inventory. And their promise was very simple. We'll give you a fast working capital. Of course, it's a loan tied to your inventory purchases. And at the same time, it helped to digitize the business operation. That's it. It was not an abstract. It was not crazy mission. It was that simple. And it's a tangible promise. We give you cash today. Lovely. I need that, especially if a micro startup that having this always capital problem. This is a gold mine. So the value proposition was even bigger than the product. The value proposition was amazing. It was mind-blowing because that was a crazy problem in Indonesia. Everybody's running out of money. A lot of people close their business not because they have a bad business, but because they're running out of money very fast. Their product is a loan and an app. And the value is basically financial survival. It's enabling small shops to compete and grow. I would say it's a life-changing outcome. They avoid the white noise. No, this always you hear it all the time. Best in class, we're world class. No, we tie loans directly to inventory. That's it. But the real question is, how do you actually build that promise? You need a tool. So it's not like you go to a shower and you realize, I got this brilliant idea. And you know what? That's my new value proposition. That's not how it works. You need to have a system for it, a tool. And this is where it will bring me to my customized VP canvas or value proposition canvas to blueprint your success step by step. So the VP canvas has usually two sides, the customer and your product. The customer side is you must kill the circle first. So you're going to create the circle. And the circle has three parts. The customer's job, which is what is your customer trying to do? What problems are they solving? Daily task lists. What needs must they satisfy? You need to write it down. I know it's boring, it's annoying, but it's very important. What are the negative stuff? What risks are they afraid of? What makes them angry when they try to get the job done? List the fears. You also need to list the gains. What do they want to win? What benefits do they expect? You need to always tie to their job. Everybody gets hired with the job scope, right? The job scope is my KPI. My KPI, how to overachieve it, and what did I underachieved. If you manage to speak to this, you're gonna have the best selling software on earth if you did it correctly. This is a mandatory step. You must do this for each type of customers you serve. Different customer types have different pain points. That's why you need to define your customer. This is what we call customer persona. It has, of course, those fancy, complicated marketing terms, but that's what it needs at the end of the day. Get to know your customer on a very deep level. The second circle is, okay, my products. Basically, what is my product doing? You need to list every single feature you have on every service. So let's say your service does this 5-6 features. And look at your customer's pain and how does your product kill that pain? Be specific. If any of your features does not talk to any of the pain, kill the feature. Don't even consider developing it, because this is a problem. I see it all the time. The CTO is so obsessed with a product, which is fine, but they are excited. They get a survey from, let's say, 100 pool of potential customers. They didn't sell to them yet, and they get the feedback. They develop, it costs them so much money. They run out of cash because they've been so much developing in features, which is ridiculous. So you need to be specific. If this feature solves very specific pain based on that persona, you're doing great. Simple as that. You will get instant signups. You'll get instant excitement. Also look at your customer gaze. How does your product deliver that win? If they want to save money, for example, cut their monthly bill by 20%. That's perfect. And then the final step is achieving the fit. So you win when you get the fit, basically. Many call this product market fit, but that's how you simplify that by two things, the customer and the product. Wow, that's exactly how it works. So the canvas on paper is your only start. You still need that. I know it's old-fashioned. You could do it online. You could do it via whatever software you like, but you still need to write it down on paper. And you must go talk to the people that you plan to sell to them. Not talk. See, this is the difference. You go sell. And this is exactly what we do at Expand Beasts. Always sell after we get the speculation. So you probably have the minimal viable products. Completely fine. Now go sell it. Zero features yet, I understand. It's okay. Go sell it and get validation. Because look, if you get somebody to survey, they will give you beautiful stuff. Not real. But when you ask them, you're going to pay $10, $20, $50, $100 a month, and you need to tell your boss that this is what it costs, they're going to think about it. And this is when you're going to get very brutal, honest feedback. If this, whatever you speculated, is yes or no. So always sell first after you define what is the customer pain, because this is all, again, speculation. Sell to them the features you have, untie to their pain, and get the immediate feedback. This is how you establish validated, unique selling proposition. If you never sell in the early stage, then I don't know what your team will do. It's all based on speculation, articulation, brainstorming, bullshit sessions that doesn't lead to anywhere. Always make sure to sell at the early stage and get immediate validation, if they are willing to spend money or no. And how do you get the immediate validation? After your first discovery call, very simple. Hey, do you like whatever we have? I love it. I'm gonna send it tomorrow to my head of IT and see how that works out. Validation. They never talk about the price. They never talk about anything. They love what you have. That's beautiful. This is what we call initial validation. Now, I know you might be panicking. Oh my God, we need to create the product later. That's completely fine. It's fine. You get the CTO to create the product, but now at least you got validation. You're in the right direction. That's how it works. So this is the secret sauce. Look at Jar's startup in India. They also were doing really brilliant job. They followed that exact playbook. They were targeting young people who had no money saved. The market has apps selling complicated stuff. So Jar saw confusion and they wanted to simplify it. So their unique selling proposition, very clear. We turn your spare change into goal savings automatically. That's brilliant. The only thing they do best is making saving effortless. So you asked me, how did they come up with this brilliant idea? Sell first. They never developed the product at all. They sell it. They got validation. People were excited. A lot of people in the pipeline excited about it. That's it. You know what happened next? They hit over 5 million users very fast. Because that one thing, that unique selling proposition. So folks, look, the easiest way to find unique selling proposition. Speculate, do the canvas that we discussed. You can see this in the diagram shared in this video. Speculation will be your worst enemy. You go sell first, get 20, 30 discovery calls, get validation. And after that, be honest, you're gonna tell them like, look, we're developing this feature. It's gonna be available by, depends, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, depends on your CBO. You're gonna be in a very good direction. So that's about it, folks. We have reached the end of this video. Knowing your business is only half of the battle. No sales system means no money, as simple as that. So always follow Expand East for all those series of courses we are making. We are building the engine for you. And we have done it thousands of times with different businesses. All we're doing right now is getting this all information for free for you guys. If you're an early founder, if you're planning or developing a new software, these kind of videos are for you. Everyone's obsessed with building sales funnels lately. And to be fair, they do work when they are built with the right logic. The trouble starts when people copy what worked for someone else without asking why it worked. I did that in the past. Spent months writing up pages and automations that looked exactly like the examples I have watched online on YouTube. Everything was connected. Everything tracked. I used the best tools. And to be honest, the funnel was broken. Nothing was sold. That's when I learned a simple truth. A funnel isn't the problem. The order is. Cold buyers don't move the way warm audiences do. A stranger who doesn't know you will not act the same like a friend or a referral or someone who's familiar with you. That's the difference. They don't care about your features yet, about the mechanics of it. They care about whether you understand what's actually painful for them and how can you solve it. So once I stopped designing around software and started designing around human logic and human way of thinking and how a stranger notices things and start trusting, the whole thing's completely changed. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how we build an outbound system funnel that actually gets you predictable revenue and earns trust with a complete stranger within the next 3 months. I'll start with how to talk to strangers so they nod instead of ghosting you. Then I will be showing you how to keep your rhythm clean, basically using a system to book consistent meetings in your pipeline. And last, we'll fix what happens after the first discovery call, the awkward gap where probably deals stall and go quiet. So let's start with the part where most people skip. The first 10 seconds when a stranger decides whether or not to read, reply, or ghost you. So let's get one thing straight about funnels. It doesn't matter where your traffic comes from. You can pay Meta, LinkedIn. They will send traffic to you. They have the AIs to do it. You can go for Reddit. They're also doing a great job in getting you traffic that is qualified. You can also go for cold outreach via email or LinkedIn DMs. Inbound or outbound, it's all cold. People who don't know who you are. Whatever it is, the channel isn't the real variable. The funnel is. This is what really matters right now. Because what decides if any of that traffic converts isn't where you found the person. It's whether your funnel makes sense to a complete stranger who doesn't know who you are yet. And that's where most funnels fail and fall apart. Most founders forget what a cold prospect actually looks like. They see an ad or they get a message for a complete stranger, and in the first 10 seconds, they are deciding, is this useful or is it just another potential sales pitch? Most funnels skip straight to sell. This is an issue. And they assume that stranger already cares about their brand and what they offer. It's like running a cafe and counting everyone who walks past the window as a potential customer. And you go and straight up and offer a cup of coffee, and probably most of them don't even care about your cafe because they were going to the bank next door. That's what they were looking at. So when you build a funnel, whether the first click came from a cold DM or a paid post, the first job isn't to convert, it's to make sense to someone who doesn't trust you yet. That's typical human psychology. If your funnel logic doesn't match human behavior, which is as follows: attention, recognition, trust. You can pour all the traffic from anywhere and you will get zero results if you did not understand this logic. So instead of thinking, how do I get more leads, especially in the early stage, you need to start thinking, how do I guide a stranger from curious to comfortable? How to make them comfortable with me? Every good funnel, no matter the source of the traffic, it always has 3 quiet questions that are built into it from the customer's POV or the customer's world. Their way of thinking is, do you get my problem? This is the first question. The second question is, have you seen this before? Or have I seen this before? And the third question is, can I trust you enough to keep reading or replying to you? These are the 3 questions on every single funnel for a complete stranger. Now, if your message or your ad or your page answer these 3 questions, you've already congrats, you're ahead of 90% of salespeople who are running growth campaigns. To give you a quick story, we were working with this cybersecurity client, at Expandis, and they had a very good product. They had an amazing team, but their outreach was a train wreck. Every message they sent read like a press release. first line was about who they were, how amazing they are. They are maybe in the Forbes 500 company and so on. Second was about their awards. The third line was a wall of logos that nobody gives interest to. It was great for ego. I mean, it was fantastic. It looked so good for them from their point of view, but it didn't get them any sort of reply. I remember opening their whole cold outreach via email and LinkedIn, and their LinkedIn DMs specifically. And I was thinking, if I was a CTO, I would definitely not want to continue this conversation. It's an annoying ad, and those people are just spamming me right now in my inbox. So I told them, look, let's throw everything in the garbage. Let's not focus on whatever you did. I'm not going to even build from there because it's just a nightmare. So we built a flow that felt like an actual conversation. 8 small touches or 8 small messages or touch points spread over the span of 45 days with a complete stranger. The first 3 were just short messages that poked at the pain of that CTO or security lead that they are feeling on their day-to-day. Something like these screenshots. Now, as you can see in these screenshots, that one line got a lot of yeses, a lot of interest. They started to nod, and people started to reply. So far, nothing is pitched yet. We're just getting them to affirm, to confirm. This is what we wanted at that stage. And once they got it, we sent a screenshot from a real dashboard. Something that showed the same mess they were dealing with from their point of view. Sometimes you also send like a simple 60-second video showing a problem to solution and why the solution is different. Exactly 60 seconds. And just ask them one question after sending the video. Does this look familiar? That's it. That one question did more than any product demo. It got a lot of interest, a lot of conversation. It made them feel understood. And after that, we added some small human touches, like commented on the recent post, like the recent posts. We stopped being an outreach on the first message. It was more of like a chat between peers now. So after that first message, that person was asking us, what time can we continue this conversation? Maybe let's go for Monday, 5 p.m. So they were the ones booking the meeting, not us asking them to jump on a meeting. Okay, you have the logic is sorted out for you. Okay, your messages are finally making sense. It's not spammy. It's not weird. It's designed for complete strangers. Now comes the part where most teams quietly get wrong, which is how to keep the engine running, how to keep the sales funnel running. Now, I'm going to talk about the outbound concept here because for me, I have been running thousands of campaigns across different industries, and my experience has been always fixated on getting high quality leads from outbound tons. So every outbound machine starts strong. Week 1, the inbox looks very busy, everybody's hyped, messages are flying, especially if you're doing LinkedIn DM as your first channel. Week 2, you'll see the follow-ups are getting messy. Who's following up, who's owning what, which lead is being followed up. Week 3, half of the prospects, you will see them half replied and nobody remembers who said what. And even if they go back to the CRM, now you are juggling between emails, you're juggling between LinkedIn DMs. It's kind of like a nightmare. And week 4, everything is just going down the hill. Maybe some of your team members might say, or maybe yourself will think, this is just too overwhelming. I cannot manage all of that in one place. Or in fact, maybe we just go and run ad back again. Maybe ad will be better. That's not the problem. Actually, the problem is arisen and consolidating that into one place. So you have to get the logic first of the outbound motion. It only works one part at a time. So you have to have 3 compartments for it. One is the new outreach, the warm follow-up, and the re-engagement. I'll explain that in a bit. So you have to think of it like 3 benches. Bench 1 is the new outreach, the fresh prospects, the one who don't know yet. Nothing happened. The second one is the active conversation, people who replied or showed interest. And then you have the third bench, which is re-engaging the ones who did not explicitly said no, I'm not interested, but they also didn't say yes. So your job is like this, not to blast more messages and find more leads every day. Is to go to those 3 benches. Go to the bench 1 and move it to bench 2. And the one on the bench 2, move it to either yes or no. And the one on the bench 3 is to, if they continue to ghost you and you have been sending to them on the span of 4 weeks, then they are unresponsive. So when these three move together, that's what we call momentum. It's not exciting, but it's how deals show up every week instead of once a quarter. It's not like a sudden spike of excitement, then after this, things fall apart. Because this is exactly what we did with our cybersecurity client. Going back to it again, their first 45-day sequence worked beautifully. So lots of early replies, but on day 20, everything slow. Not because interest dropped, but because the reps were drowning into follow-ups that never logged. They never logged it, and it was annoying. They were juggling between about 4 or 5 different tools. So we built a rhythm, okay? Which is every rep starts each day the same way, which is reply to yesterday's message. I call them the warm bench, and then nudge the quiet ones from the last week. I call this the re-engage bench, and then send a new bench. So that was the rhythm that they've been following, and it was very good. It felt slower at first, but within a month, the meetings spread evenly through the week instead of coming into random bursts. We were predicting how many meetings are coming in the next week and the week after, and so on. The team wasn't guessing anymore, and that was beautiful for the whole engine and making the campaign predictably. Now, here's how to set that up. Okay, number one is map your stack. This is the first question. Write down where each message starts and where replies should land. For example, if LinkedIn run through the software like HeyReach software or GetSales, and emails run through Smartly, both must think in the same CRM. So all of them must synchronize in the same CRM. So you have 360 view. Now, step 2 is create automatic tags. So these are all automatic, which you can configure utilizing your CRM itself. If you're using HubSpot, we can integrate HubSpot with SmartLead, with HeyReach. All of that can be done. Not a big deal. Utilizing a lot of N8N flow. If you don't have anybody to do that for you, we're happy to help on that. But this is where you should start. Always synchronize all your tools, make it all talk to each other, and tag them. So you have warm leads coming from email, you tag it as warm email. You have a lead coming from LinkedIn, you tag it as warm social, okay? If you have a follow-up that is due in 3 days, then you call it follow-up due, tag it as a follow-up due. That's basically how the sales team can see things and no excuses in that momentum, in the rhythm. Humans are human. We always need to be accountable. So there should be always ownership. Assign those tags automatically to the rep responsible. No manual moving, no shared spreadsheets. All those shared collaboration things, it doesn't really work. And step 4 is review cadence once a week. This is your job as a founder, your job as a sales leader, to look for stuck tags. Like look at the ones that are sitting at warm for more than 5 days. What happened? Why it's still warm for the last 5 days? Fix it before adding more leads. Because the whole idea is not to add more leads, but to convert and maximize your conversion with the current leads that you have in your pipeline. So that's how you let automation keep the timing tight while your team stays focused on the part that actually closes deal. Please do not overwhelm your team with so much stack automation. You need to handle that stack yourself. And if you're hiring somebody or you're getting somebody onboarded, then we see the system in front of that. Do not ask them to do things manually. That's a nightmare. Nobody will do things manually for you. A lot of mistakes, a lot of human errors, a lot of problems. Yes, they need to flush the CRM. They need to move it. If they send somebody a follow-up, they need to mention that in the logs, but they cannot overwhelm them with so many manual steps. But even with a perfect rhythm, you will get meetings. But then after those meetings, what's going to happen? And you find the CRM, yes, we got this month 50 meetings, 60 meetings. But why am I not getting even to the proposal stage? And then your team will start to blame it on bad or poor fit leads or a poor approach, or maybe LinkedIn is not the best way, or maybe email outreach is a bad idea, let's run ads and so on. But that's not the reality. So how to avoid wasting it? How to avoid wasting what happens after the first meeting? So at this point, you've got messages people actually answer. Your LinkedIn and email tools are synchronized. Your CRM tags every reply properly, and every rep are finally running calls that don't feel random anymore. That's great. This is exciting. But here's what usually happens. A few weeks in, you look at the pipeline and it looked full. Lots of interested, excited, or you see that follow-up next week in the CRM. But then you check the revenue, it's nothing. Nothing is moving. You didn't check the proposal stage, nothing is happening. So when everyone starts saying maybe the market is slow, or maybe this approach is a bad idea, or maybe it's a poor fit leads, most of the time, that's not the issue. The real problem starts after the first conversation. The energy that got the buyer on the call fades because no one keeps the same attention once the call ends. Okay, let me explain. So in every outbound team I've worked with, the same three things slow deals down. Someone forgets what the buyer said, the follow-up sounds like a template, and no one clearly owns what happens next. These are the three problems. So let's unpack that. After a call, the rep often moves straight to the next meeting. They promise to update the notes later, but later never pass. By the time they send a follow-up, they have forgotten the exact pain the buyer mentioned. So the email says something vague like, "Thanks for your time, let's reconnect next week." The buyer reads it and thinks they didn't get it. They don't know what's my business about. Looks likely they maybe are not the right fit for me. And they quietly move on. That's where ghosting happens. Then the follow-up starts sounding robotic. You know, the ones like just checking in, any updates, following up on this. None of these will remind the buyer why the problem mattered in the first place. So they don't feel a reason to reply to you or any of your team. And the last issue is ownership. If more than one person touches the deal, each assumes the other will handle the next step. So the CRM shows active, but no one is actually taking, or nobody's actually talking to the buyer. The deal sits there until it quietly expires and you get completely ghosted and the momentum is lost. The fix isn't another sequence or another fancy automation you need to build in. It's making sure every deal keeps its memory. What the buyer said, what they cared about, and who's responsible for keeping that thread alive. That's it. So when someone books a call, the call should create a living record in your CRM. The rep who ran the call should capture the exact line the buyer said about their pain. Exact line, and the way they portrayed their pain. Not their understanding of their pain, but the way the buyer said it. Not a summary, their exact words. Very important. Then every message that goes out afterwards should start with the same line. That small detail, honestly speaking, reminds the buyer you listened, you care, you have a full understanding, not just log data, not another vendor. For the follow-ups, timing matters as well. Every message should connect to something real from their world based on their timing. If they mentioned a product launch by November, your follow-up on November should be about that. So that would be your opening. It shows you remembered and it gives them a reason to respond instead of later. And for ownership, the rule is simple. Whoever ran the last conversation owns the next action until it's finished. Do not do group inboxes or shared responsibility. It simply doesn't work. This is exactly the same issue we had with our cybersecurity client. Going back to it, their outbound worked, their calendar filled up pretty fast after they followed our messaging flow, but hardly any of those meetings turned into contracts or proposals. When we looked into their CRM, it was obvious why. Half the interested accounts had empty note fields, and no one had written down what buyer actually said or what problem they wanted solved in their wording. It's just, some of it is even generic summaries. So every follow-up felt generic, and we actually checked it. It's just like checking in, following up on this. Let's have another call. They even send their PDF. Nobody even opens PDF nowadays. Even post the call, nobody even opens it. I have sent thousands case study myself. When somebody jumps with me on a call about expandees, nobody even cares to open it. This is why they were stuck. How did we fix it? We focus on the basics. First of all, we made 2 mandatory fields in their CRM, confirm pain in the wording of the client, and what were the next steps discussed during the meeting. The rep couldn't save the meeting until both were filled. So basically, they cannot just simply say meeting was concluded until these 2 fields were there and they are full. The system also created a follow-up task for the same rep within 24 hours, so nothing slips through the crack. Once we had those confirmed pain notes inside, we noticed a pattern. Each prospect fell into one of the 5 problems buckets that they already have, like integration headaches, compliance preps, or cost sometimes. Like it's too expensive, our current tool is very pricey, we're looking for a new vendor. So instead of sending the same deck for everyone, I asked them to stop sending PDFs post-meeting. Don't do that. We built proof around each problem bucket that was mentioned, and we don't overwhelm them with too many attached PDFs. So over the span of 3 months, we created 15, I would say, small proof pieces or short slides or short screenshots. And we call this like, sometimes it's like in form of pricing charts, code simulations, even side-by-side comparison against their old vendors. We did that, including benefits, including pricing, and so on. If someone complained about pricing, they got value for cost comparison that made sense in numbers, not adjectives. Again, we did not send a PDF. That was the crazy part, that they even objected. They say, how come can't we just simply send the PDF? Nope, it's not gonna work. So every proof matched the pain that buyer had confirmed earlier, and we send it on the span every week. Hey Frank, I believe our last discussion was mainly about your current vendor and how it was expensive. So here's a price comparison list of how our price and the benefits and the features that we cover compared to your vendor. We actually did it for them. You know why? Because I am sure this comparison will go into the procurement department and they don't need to do it themselves. We did their homework for them. And we also justified the pricing for the CFO. So we are just simply understanding the buyer committee in the backend. And I'm sure with this simple page, with this simple screenshot, he will forward it internally. And again, it's not a PDF, it was just an image. I avoid PDFs as much as possible because PDFs really tend to have this attitude of not opening it for some reason nowadays. So that alone changed their way of doing follow-ups and made their follow-ups very valuable, very relevant, and significant. By the end of the quarter, usually their average deals, I would say, stays until 6 months because they sell about 50 to 60K a deal. It lowered to 3 months and the close rate nearly doubled. So that's how we kept deals moving, by using proof that match each buyer's exact pain instead of sending the same deck to everyone. But all that happens always after the first reply and then after the first meeting. So anyway, the next video, I'll go in a very interesting direction to show you what to share before the first replies or even during the conversation before your first meeting, and also what kind of material to get the interest continue to be alive after the meeting ends. So you have probably seen tools like Zoho, TinyWow, and Domino Data Lab. They are doing invoice generation, content planners, ROI calculators. Now, they look like small freebies, but they are actually lead magnets that are running for them 24/7. They basically qualify leads before anyone even talks to them from their sales team. That approach has quietly replaced the old free guide that has been almost everywhere across different channels, different websites. Right now is completely useless if you decide to go with the typical PDF guide. So a few weeks ago, I had a client where I built downtime risk predictor quiz calculator for their factory managers. It's basically showing them what kind of cost they are losing if they didn't make sense of their ERP data. Now, it took me exactly 45 minutes and the cost was around, I think, $20 to $25 in terms of AI credits, and it brought real conversations on that same week for my partner. And they were selling AI as a layer for ERP implementers or factories as well. Now, most people think a lead magnet means writing content, or I have to rely my content department or my marketing department to do some, I don't know, ebook for me or a one-pager PDF. Look, a long guide or a checklist or an ebook, if you're doing it in 2025 and even in 2026, this means your marketing department has no clue what actually works right now. It doesn't start conversation and it's actually outdated. And it gets worse for outbound. If you're doing outreach or cold outreach, it's a nightmare. Basically, people will never open a PDF or never open a link that leads to a PDF. Or those gated content nowadays are just completely rubbish, because guess what? We are in the stage or at the era of AI where every single data is accessible for me. So why do I need this another PDF for me to read? No, thank you. So the real problem isn't really the reach. It's time, fit, and customization. So let me explain. You're basically spending hours on something that doesn't qualify or engage anybody. That's one thing. And you need to keep in note that everybody nowadays is looking for something customized for them, something that is targeting specifically their problem, not a generic tool, not a generic PDF or a generic content. So instead of writing content, you can build a small interactive tool, a quiz, a calculator, or an audit. It does three things at one time. It gives customized value, it collects real-time data from that leads, and the third one, which is the most important, starts a conversation. Now, you can do it yourself without a single content team or anybody in your marketing team to do it for you. And it takes you under 30 to 45 minutes if you're a bit slow. So this is exactly what's going to happen in this video. I'll walk you through how to come up with an idea people actually want to click, how to build and publish it fast using AI without a single code involved, and how to post and send it to get real replies from completely cold traffic or cold leads that you're reaching out to. It doesn't matter if you're doing whatever channel, it works in every single channel, email, LinkedIn, Reddit, whatever it is. So you'll see the full process end to end, including proof of how I did it myself in exactly 45 minutes. And got the best outcome possible for my partner and my client. All right, so let's start with the common trap most founders still fall into, which is the free guide I shared earlier. You see, when I started reaching out to factory owners about AI adoption, I did what most of us do first. I built a long PDF called The Future of AI in Manufacturing. Basically, I just wanted to convince them, how AI impacts their factory in terms of making sense of data, generating synthetic data. It's brilliant if you ask me. I love the software that I'm selling on behalf of my clients, and I felt it had huge value. And you know what? What we did for them was we ran outreach campaign via LinkedIn social selling. Of course, we ran ads top of the funnel to do reach and from those potential prospects. And we also even sent emails and WhatsApp for the ones who actually gave us initial interest. Okay, so there were initial success. The downloads came in. People say, oh, thank you for the PDF. That's it. Actual good demo calls never happen. And if it did, it's very rare, but in that campaign, it never happened, to be honest with you. And I spoke to them later. I spoke to a few of them later. I was very much trying to figure out what are we doing wrong. Every single time I talked to a factory manager after he received the PDF, I just called them, He say, we already have an ERP. We don't need another report. We just can't make sense of all of that data. That's it. They're like, yeah, that's exactly what we're solving. Who told you that the AI would replace your ERP system? Some of them even say, well, look, I just spent about $300,000 on my ERP system. I don't need another tool to help me. I'm already trying to figure this out. My team, the digital transformation team, are making things workable for us. So we're good. Yeah, this is when I was like, wow, okay, so there is a real barrier. You don't understand what is our value, what is the core value we're offering to them. So I was like, instead of going for reading material, why can't we come up with a calculator or a quiz that is asking them about their current ERP system and telling them that this is the amount of money they might be losing and the cost of them not making sense of the data. It took exactly about 20 to 30 minutes to come up with the ideation and figure out a way to simplify for them to make sure that their input will create the best output that is tailored for them. So it became an interactive lead magnet. And this is exactly my point. We are at the era of an interactive lead magnet. If you're giving me a flat out lead magnet, it's not working. Content is not working. Even a video. Nowadays, I see a lot of LinkedIn posts from gurus saying, you know what, just send them a LinkedIn video. It works. But if it's not customized, again, you're having that same problem. So we came up with the idea of how about if I generated content customized based on their inputs, based on their current state. And when we did that, they could finally see how AI meant for their factory, not in theory, not in random numbers, but a business case. And this is where it shifted their mindset, it shifted their responses, and it opened doors for us to start genuine conversation. Some of them even said, You know what? Can you show me how this fits into my current ERP? Because I'm using Odoo, for example, and we ended up jumping on a demo that is very specific on how would you implement that AI into your current Odoo setup. That's exactly how meaningful that demo was. So within the first week, we had 3 factors, schedule demos directly from that result page, and which I will show you in a bit. And that's exactly how it happened. It's that simple. All right, let's build the version of this AI calculator or readiness calculator for those factors. I'm going to be exactly showing you exact steps I took to generate that kind of interactive lead magnet that generated for my, still generating. In fact, it's ongoing. It's generating for them at least 5 to 10 demos on average a month. And you will see exactly how we plan to use it in our outbound funnels and inbound as well. Let's jump on the screen and see exactly how it works. All right, this is exactly the tool I'm referring to. This is what we call an interactive lead magnet. So what usually happens is this is something that has been created from scratch. I mean, I had to redo it because obviously I don't want to share my client's name here. I don't think they would like it. But anyway, this is exactly what we did for them. I had to redo it myself just to give you a little bit of context how it looks like. You can see this is a downtime risk predictor. It's basically designed for, from a psychological point of view, it's always about when you're talking to the CEO or a top level, what are they going to lose if they did not get that tool? Okay, that's basically what they fear. And any single person, if you're reaching out, they need to always not just simply share benefits, but what kind of benefit that makes sense to them. If you're looking at this tool, this is exactly what it looks like. It's a question, a quiz, an interactive gamified quiz, and they need to give their information, whether and asking them very specific questions that will obviously generate a report, and then from that report, it's a very customized report based on the input or data they added here. I always love to put like the sweet spot is from 4 to 7 questions, because if you go too deep, which will obviously gets you better insights. The issue that you'll probably be facing is that a lot of drop off from that kind of lead magnet. So you want to reach about 70% completion rate. And that's exactly how it looks like. So they should be having a result. And obviously I was targeting Malaysia. So the lead magnet was designed to be in ringgit. And these are all calculated numbers based on, of course, I got that data from inputs I managed to create from ChatGPT. So this tool is called, the one we're working on right now, is called Lovable. So Lovable is, we call this like vibe coders. So those guys are mainly, including myself, they hate coding to their guts, and they want to create something quickly without relying heavily on coders. This tool exactly took me from my workflow, from the ideation all the way to the outcome that you see right now, 20 minutes. So I will share with you how do we do it. So obviously you will need to have a Lovable account, and you can see here. And you will also need to have a ChatGPT account. So I will share in a bit why. So Lovable account is basically, you will have to create, you already have an idea and you're just executing at this stage. But the question comes in like, what kind of idea should I create? What kind of, where to start? So I have a very easy prompt. You can later have access to it in the description below in this video. You will find it in the comment section if this video is on LinkedIn or whatever social platform it is. I will always share it in the comment section. So basically, this is how to start your ideation stage. This is how the prompt looks like. I assume you guys have ChatGPT account, and it's going to be basically sharing the info of the company you are currently working in or the company you plan to help execute this ideation. Now, you need to make sure who's your target audience. It's very specific, and based on and of course, what is exactly you do as a problem? What problem are you solving? What is the outcome you're promising? And based on the business information provided above, create 5 simple lead magnet concepts that can build a basic web application in Lovable. For each concept, provide a complete prompt that includes the tool name, what it does, user input needed, and output provided. Each lead magnet should be extremely simple to build and use, solve one specific problem for the target audience, Be buildable with basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and lovable. Include email capture functionality. So this is also something you would like to add. Probably you would want to add not just an email, but probably maybe a phone number, and provide immediate value in under 2 minutes. That's exactly the whole point of an interactive lead magnet. So this is exactly what I did. So it's in my notes here. I just simply filled in the blanks. It should look like this: industry, industrial AI, ERP implementation, the tagline. I even added the target audience. Who is it going to be? Factory owners, operation manager, ERP consultants sometimes, because that's something I realized later on when we were doing it. And then I even added a little bit of what core problems we are solving. Okay, so I specifically mentioned that data stays underused, no predictive insights, only reporting. Production teams still depend on manual tracking and management. So I really gave the most critical issues that we are seeing in terms of problem. And then factory AI is something I just created right now because I don't want to reveal my client's name. And as you can see, I have put into consideration these points. Now, as long as you fill these variables into place, you're good to go. And then I have already created and generated. So this is exactly what happened. I'm going to show you the flow from A to Z. So I added that, and these are exactly the recommendations that came into play. As you can see, a tool name, downtime calculator, and then it gives you in ringgit or USD, and the output provided is this, and this is the input provided. And then I got few other options as well. Now it does ask you, would you like to rank these by lead generation potential? And then also I saw that. I was like, that's fine, but I was not really honestly satisfied because it does sound a bit generic. So I kept on tweaking until I found something much better, which exactly the output that we already did for the client, that I had to walk you on the whole journey first. Why factors AI downtime tool is not generic, blah, blah, blah. And then it kept on giving you insights and patterns and all of that. I kept on, again, enhancing my I would say just tweaking, fine-tuning my outputs here. So you can see here the reason why I didn't like initially the outcome, it was too generic. So I told them, like, you know what, find something much more in-depth, something much more. So it ended up getting me that result, downtime risk predictor, which is the one we are currently using for our client. Okay, so, and it says find the next machine likely to fail using your ERP pattern. That's exactly what happened. And then I asked him, like, you know what, create a prompt for Lovable to create that tool, and then done. That's it. Now I want to use Lovable to execute for me. So I got the prompt, I gave it to Lovable. So as you can see here, these are the, this is where we started. Asking to, these are all this is the prompt in detail, right? So you just need to make sure when you copy pasting to Lovable, don't go and give everything, like that's too crazy. Okay, so you just need to make it much more concise for Lovable first. So it should be like a prompt like this: prompt, goal, tagline, bam, that's it. So no need to go for the structure. So the structure, leave it to Lovable. Lovable will figure it out itself. So it took about 16 seconds for Lovable to figure this out, and it gave us something initially nice. I wouldn't say it's bad. Happy to show you this. Let me just preview this version. Let's see. Yeah, he was initially looked like that. Of course, that also had a problem. Let me tell you why. Because when you build something like this, it's also a bit boring. I wanted to feel like it's more of a quiz. People do not like, sometimes they don't even remember the number of machines they have in the factory, average downtime hours per month. Like, again, like, well, I don't think a C-level would have these numbers top of his head. It's impossible. Okay, so again, that's not the best way to do it. I do see interactive lead magnets are like this, but I'm not a fan of it. So I had to iterate the outcome. I didn't like the outcome, so I had to iterate it. And I tell them, like, I don't like it. Make it more gamified. Every page asking about specific behavior or what do you think? So overall, yeah, all good. So I got these kind of initial results, which is more of like a question format. And I loved it. I loved it very much because that's exactly what's working already. I'm just taking on my journey to reach that stage of development. And then what happened was I started to ask questions to ChatGPT, like, you know what, how can these questions be justifiable for a factory managers? And then, well, how many questions? And then it started to recommend exactly as I mentioned in the beginning of this video. So you're looking at 3 to 5 for top of the funnel, 6 to 8 mid of the funnel, 9 to 12 for deep AI within his audit. Now, the problem is always about your completion rate. Like it's going to drop the more questions you add. So it recommended for you exactly 5 to 7 question total, which is the industry standard. He said, would you like me to write exact 6 questions plus choices plus scoring logic? Please, yes, by all means, go ahead. And I got this, the lovable prompt that is this, and here we are. Okay, so far so good. I don't have any concerns here. I start to ask about the output. Is the output going to be 2 pages with full details and insightful or generic? This is where it slowly, it gave us more feedback, gave us insights of what's going to happen, risk impact, medium, high, medium, and so on. So I started to tweak even the output and so on. So what happened was I ended up copy pasting my output here, okay, as you can see, and it generated for me this one, which looked initially like, here you go, like a quiz, which is so far so good. So if you click here and then next, here, next, here, next, here, next, not yet. I mean, I'm just testing here. So you get a predictability score. Okay. Now, again, it's a matter of where did the logic come from? This is why you would need to double down on industry insights and see if it's factual or not. So you don't want to lose credibility in terms of output and where did this number come from as well. So that's why you need to make sure when you're doing the prompt output, you just double check on the factuality of those numbers to avoid AI hallucination, because AI will continue to be a nightmare and hallucination if you don't control it. Now, the reason why I am using ChatGPT to fine-tune things is because there's something in Lovable called credits, okay? So these credits will be eaten alive if you keep tweaking here real time. So if you don't like the outcome, you go to ChatGPT and you just give your feedback. So this is exactly why it's important to use ChatGPT while fine-tuning things here. Because what you do is you need to make sure your credits are intact. You're not burning your credits on AI aggressively. At the same time, it doesn't cost you much. Most likely something like this tool will cost me about $25 to $50 of credits, depending on how much customizations I wanted to have. But as you can see, I didn't like it as well because the user interface was not so good. Because if somebody lands on that page, it's not nice because, okay, thank you for the downtime. Where is it? So I have to scroll. Scrolling is a bad idea in user experience and user interface. This is something I already know. So I have to tell him like, look, make it shorter, make it concise. And if I want to know what is this tool, it's like this, bam. So now you can see I can also tweak the user experience to have a higher level of conversion for my leads. Now, the beautiful part about all of this is that what is the end game here is that they see that initial value. So it's a matter of step-by-step building value. So I build value, they show here, but then there's also your score and industry average. So there's an industry average. So your factory versus industry average is very important. Where am I standing from these benchmarks? Am I good or bad? And I give them the function to even share the results. So he can share it on LinkedIn, he can share it on Twitter, he can copy a results link. But here's the interesting part. Where do we generate the demos? This one. Look, I want more information. I like it. Please send me a full comprehensive report. Show me my predicted gaps. Risk ranking by process like procurement, production, and maintenance. Top 3 predicted blockers in your ERP habits. Recommended next steps to unlock live downtime forecasting. And it exactly looks like this. So all I need now is a work email and their company name. I would even add, if I'm targeting Malaysia or Singapore, probably I would add I want the phone number as well. And that's exactly what we do. And then once they send my report, we automatically, it fires by sending the report to their inbox. So that's it in a nutshell, folks. That's exactly how I do interactive lead magnet. And it has been effective so much and it generates non-stop demos. The question is like this. The question is how I'm going to be using it. How I'm going to be using it for my inbound and outbound. So if you're using What channels are you using? If you're running ads, how are you going to do that? If you're running LinkedIn ads, if you're running LinkedIn outbound, this is exactly what I would be sharing in the next step. And this step is way more important, because what's the point of having a report that just sits there and does nothing? It's great to have this in place. The question is, how can we take it to the next level? How can we share it to the public? How to get their attention? How to make them stop scrolling? All these things, we need to figure out a way to do it. It's very simple. Make a short video, okay, of that interactive lead magnet and show the outcome and show what's your score, guess your score of your factory. Basically, you're selling the outcome. The post was something like this. Factories using ERP can now check how ready they are for AI. Take 2 minutes of your time, comment score, and I will send over the link that will generate for you a customized report for your factory. That's it. And while I'm doing the content of the post, the video of it is quick glimpse of the flow of the quizzes, as simple as that. So yeah, we launched that exact thing via LinkedIn post. That initially was our first step, our first strategy. And we got few factory manager, few plant manager from Johor, from Penang in Malaysia. Some of them said, this shows exactly where our data issues are. He commented like this. Some of them said like, can you tell me more about this? I would like to have a quick introduction on that tool that you are guys using. The value was very specific to them. So they understood what we do in a nutshell. So that's just it. But you can still run ads. You can still blast an email. We just need to build the momentum bit by bit. So you can share with them a video first of how this lead magnet outcome is going to be for them. And then share the lead magnet link. And then they will probably go on that lead magnet and be excited about the outcome. That's exactly a step by step. It doesn't matter if you're going to go for ads, if you're going to go for LinkedIn post, if you're going to go for email outreach. That's exactly how it works in a nutshell. So it's kind of like an outbound, but not to ask them for a demo call. It's an outbound to give them interactive value, to make them feel they got some value that is customized for them. So if you are already building this right now and you would like to share your results or ideas of what worked, what didn't work for you, do share it in the comments. Let's see what did you do, what kind of lead magnet you generated. Your feedback helped me to make the next part of this course more useful for you and everybody else watching this series of micro courses I've been doing. So in the next module, we'll go one step deeper into prospecting, how to find people who would actually reply to you, how to start messages that turn into high quality meetings, and how to know which prospects are worth of your time before they even get reached out to. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.